Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's Tuesday, June 17th, 2025, 1400 hours, 2 p.m. This is the regular regular Board of Health meeting. Before we begin, I'd just like to let everyone know that we remind everyone that this is a public meeting of the Board of Health. While we encourage engagement, we ask that all attendees maintain proper decorum throughout the meeting. Please refrain from speaking unless you are recognized during the designated public input portion of the agenda. At that time, you will be given 5 minutes to speak. Interruptions, side conversations, or speaking out of turn are not permitted as they disrupt the meeting and hinder our ability to conduct business efficiently and respectfully. We appreciate your cooperation in helping us maintain a productive and respectful environment. So if we can stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I am Tammy Mello. I am the acting chair person of the committee.
I am Vincent Hebert. I am the member of the Board of Health.
Okay, first on the agenda is the public health nurse interviews. So at 2 o'clock, we have Rebecca Mitchell.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Hi. Good.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So how this works, Rebecca, is Vinny and I are the only 2 members of the board currently. So what we'll do is we'll alternate and just ask you easy questions. And if you can just answer the question, and then we'll move on. So we have about 15 questions, but they're short. So it should be quite easy for you. So I'll start off. Please tell us about yourself, your education, your work experience, and how you feel this has prepared you for the position of public health nurse for the town of Dayton.
Perfect. So my name is Rebecca. I have actually 2 bachelor's degrees. The first is in sports entertainment and event management. Then the second is a bachelor's degree in nursing, where I went to UMass Dartmouth. After graduating from UMass Dartmouth in my nursing degree, after working several years in the event industry, I wanted something that was a little bit more rewarding for me. So I went to nursing school and then ended up working at South Shore Hospital, which I am still a part of working at South Shore Hospital. I work per diem on Emerson 6, which is our oncology floor, which has prompted me to be able to work with a diverse set of individuals, their families, as well as working with a bunch of different comorbidities and education on certain things, and just allowed me to see a multitude of different things. Also, while there, I have actually transitioned to be the public health nurse of the town of Middleborough. So I have been there since February. So public health nursing is completely new to me, but it's something that I've always been interested in from my time at UMass Dartmouth. So with that being said, I definitely think that I've, come into the role after Nicole Mello and, have made it my own. So we've done everything so far since, just in the little time since February. We've done podcasts, we've done public outreach, continued with the blood pressure clinics, we've worked with the Girl Scouts, a entomologist, I've done insect walks with the COA, almost just assessing what the community needs, whether that be through like surveys or anything of that sort, and then catering to the specific community that I'm working in.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Good.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so please describe any past experience you have working with a local Board of Health or the Mass Department of Public Health.
Sure. So I've been, as I mentioned before, working with Middleborough since February. So through that, I've been actively working on the MAVEN cases. I've been, working with the COA, working with the schools, partnering with a bunch of different, emergency management throughout the town, almost just making myself be known and just getting my name out there and seeing where I can help in the community, whether that be through right now we have a campaign going on promoting public helmet safety. I do a newsletter every month for our newsletter that goes out through the town. I've worked at MCAM and now we're on our 5th podcast, whether it be, in May we talked about mental health awareness. We've talked about lung awareness as June is lung awareness. Then we've also done about the opioid crisis that we see in the state, not only in just specific towns, as August is going to be overdose awareness month. So it's really just, I have a broad spectrum of what I've done so far in the community in that sense. While I was in school, I worked with the towns of New Bedford and Fall River and volunteered a lot of my time through that. And then just as being part of the Emerson 6 team at South Shore Hospital, we've partaken in the breast cancer walks or any oncology walks that we could. Lung health is very important for me. My best friend, as well as my dad, both my best friend's dad, as well as my dad, has had lung cancer. So that's something that's near and dear. I'll be at the Lung Force Walk this weekend. So anything that I can do to get involved in the community and promote education is where you'll find me.
Good,
Awesome.
thank you.
How do you feel about working with our schools to adapt new programs such as CPR training for students?
I think that is one of the best things that you could do. I think knowledge is gold. I think if students at any age are able to perform CPR and know, what to do in a crisis situation, you're just going to have better outcomes. The first time I ever did CPR, I was 15 years old. So I think I wasn't prepared. Had I been prepared or it had been in my school, I think that situation, I would have handled it pretty better, as well as actually known what I was doing. I have no qualms working with the schools. Currently been doing it with Middleborough, as well as I'm the cool aunt of 6, self-proclaimed. So I'm actively involved in their schools and, just having nieces and nephews that range from the age of 2 to 16 immensely. I think that would be a great thing to have in schools.
Great.
And would be happy to teach it.
Please describe your experience with Maven and disease reporting for the state of Massachusetts.
Sure. So currently what I'm doing at the public health nursing and Middleborough, I do it every day as soon as I log in. Prior to working with Maven through this role throughout school, it was right around the COVID time. So I was able to partake in some of the COVID tracking. That was like my first initial dive into tracking a disease. But Maven right now, I've done all the educations. I step into the webinars and any questions that I have no problem reaching out. Love continued education. And I am constantly reaching out if I have problems on Maven and just learning everything new.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can you give us an example of a community health program you developed, ran, or participated in? It sounds like you're pretty busy with making programs or designing programs. And I know it's a repeat question, but I have to ask you again.
No, that's okay. Let's see, one that I haven't mentioned before. Sorry. Let's see. I would almost talk about some of the preventions that we've done in the schools in Middleborough. I did work alongside some of the nurses within the school they were looking for resources. I guess prior to COVID, they would have people who would come in and talk, whether it be related to STI testing, pregnancy, or anything of that sort. So I brought in an outside guest speaker to talk with the nurses, and that's something that we're working on initiating, as well as actually on Friday, we did just have a meeting with the Middleborough High School, because one thing that I'm actively passionate about is education on the use of alcohol and drugs while driving. One thing that really stood out to me and has stayed with me since I was in high school was doing a mock car crash and having a smashed car up around prom time. Unfortunately, things like that did happen in my high school. And so that stuck with me. So kind of promoting education behind that. That's an initiative that we are working towards for next year to have the students involved, have guest speakers talk about their experiences, because I think it's wonderful to, promote all of this education and, do the presentations. But speaking from someone who's been there in their shoes, I think it's really important that you relate to them on their level and almost bring in a story that or someone their age to talk about their experiences. So that's definitely one of the main initiatives that I'm working on right now, and partnering with High Point prevention centers to bring that to the schools, and also a vaping cessation program.
That's a great idea. I like that.
Thank you.
Okay. Would you have any difficulty implementing any local, state, or federal public health protocol that you do not agree with?
No, I am fully in line. I like
Okay.
protocols. They keep things, tidy, and I like protocols. I thrive in protocols.
Okay.
Can you provide specific examples of your recent experience working with clients, elders, the general public, and families?
Sure. So right now, and previously working in South Shore Hospital, as I mentioned before, I was on the oncology floor. So unfortunately, that we do see a lot of individuals who become the status of CMO, which is also comfort measures only, which was one thing that, discussing with my nurse manager was something that I pretty much a lot of the time took over that case, because I was dubbed one of the best people to be working with the families. I recognize that it's not just about the patient when it comes to that, it's also about the families. That's a hard, life-changing moment when it comes to that point where we're, talking end of life. So, in that aspect, I'm dealing with, their grandchildren, their sons, their significant others from that standpoint, in the hospital, as well as working with the patient themselves. So when it comes in that side from the hospital standpoint, inpatient, and that's my background, and it's really about listening and understanding where the person's coming from. Sometimes people just want to be heard. It's a difficult situation, and so that's my standpoint from that. And then working in the community, I have office hours. I've done wound care. I've tag teamed with Josh Porter, who is our mental health advocate in the community, and helping doing wound care out in the community. I've worked with the COA, with Maureen, doing, getting our elderly out walking more, while, making it a spin on Lyme disease, just because that's so prevalent right now, and like educating them by bringing in an entomologist. I've worked with the Girl Scouts, with one of our police department, going and talking about first aid and helping them get their first aid badge. So I'm really all over the spectrum. That's where I've kind of been so far in the community.
Excellent.
So can you provide specific examples of your recent experience?
I just did.
Oh, you just did that one? Oh, I'm sorry.
Question 8.
That's okay.
Just did that one. Sorry.
That's okay.
Do you have any recent experience doing clinical work with patients, such as immunizations and TB testing?
So I do vaccines in the hospital. TB testing, not so much. In the hospital, we are, giving the COVID vaccines. We are giving, the flu vaccines, so on and so forth. Every day I'm giving shots that I'm there. For different reasons. I am up to date on the protocols when it comes to vaccines for the camps, because right now I am in the thick of camp inspections, going over all of those immunization records. And then when it comes to TB, not much history in it, just because, again, this is kind of new to me, and that's not something that we typically had on our oncology floor. But I have joined all of the webinars, and I have been running into some issues in Middleborough with TB, and how it is in our regulations to have annual TB testing, which that's something I'm, actively diving into. So I am getting so much information on TB. So.
All right, thank you, Becca.
Thank you.
Do you have any relationships with local stakeholder or provider groups who you'd be able to call upon as a resource on behalf of Dayton residents as our public health nurse?
I wouldn't say any known, contacts, but I am definitely very friendly. That's one thing I thrive myself on, is going out, making those contacts. I am that pesky little person who's always up and, bothering you to make those connections. When it comes to my event coordinating time, I do still have a lot of those connections, not really related to public health, but if we ever needed to do like an event or anything of that sort, definitely can pull on those strings, as well as I think, with my time here in Middleborough, I've been able to make connections that I think could help in Dighton and other small towns. It's not just, Middleborough specifically.
Excellent.
Okay. You've answered a bunch of this already, but this position interfaces with the public frequently. What skills do you have that would enable you to effectively deal with residents on sensitive and confidential matters?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I strictly abide by HIPAA. Even any slight notion that I can, make an identity known, there's no need to be talking about any specific case or anything other than with those who are involved or, need to know. When it comes to dealing with sensitive situations, I listen to the patient. Sometimes it comes down to they're just not educated. I try to talk to patients, on their level. Health literacy is a very real thing. So I think it's really important that you match the person on their level, answer their questions, and almost if they are avoidant for any certain reason or any type of treatment or anything of that sort, kind of divulging in and seeing why that is, and almost coming at it in different. I've run into it a couple of times, both in the hospital as well as in Middleborough, where, someone's not in line, not in tune with what you're educating them on. And it's really just providing them with the resources that they need, the education at something that they can understand and that they're wanting to understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you had any training and or experience with emergency preparedness? If you have, described the situation and what your role was.
Sure. So that's one thing that we constantly, or it's a little different, a spin on your question, but one thing that happened unfortunately, pretty often while I was inpatient in the hospital was we have what's called rapid response. So that is, you are taking charge on, whoever patient it was isn't the one who's taking charge in that. It's another nurse. And while they're answering the doctor's questions, so you're helping run that code or run that, rapid response. Unfortunately, on the cancer floor, one night and specifically, we had 10 rapid responses and a behavioral rapid response happen at once. So that, that night we were definitely all on our toes. So definitely have experience in that, as well as prior to nursing school, I did, trained to be an EMT. And I have worked with different, individuals in the community to learn how to use Narcan, to do CPR. I am certified in all of that. So really any education that I can get when it comes to emergency services or being better prepared, I'm here for and totally dedicated to.
Great.
What have you done in previous positions to help establish and maintain quality customer service within your organization or department?
Sure. So while at South Shore, I was part of our UBC program, or actually I still am part of the UBC program. However, I have taken a step back just because I'm currently in Middleborough and working per diem at South Shore. But that's something that we work with feedback that comes from both outside the hospital as well as our team. And we make it a great, atmosphere for both our colleagues, as well as we have a suggestion box. And then when it comes to working with my patients, that's definitely something that I never just go into a patient's room and just start doing things to them. I wouldn't like that. So, that's one thing that I go in, I introduce myself, I explain what I'm doing, ask for their permission. So I think that also comes into play. We do reviews from the hospital, and that's constantly been brought up, where patients will say that sometimes, whether it be nurses or nursing assistants, doctors, or whomever, just come in and kind of just do their thing without addressing the patients. I think that's really important. And then just asking how their experience is going. Every time that my patient would go down for a CT or something like that, I'm like, hey, how was, transport? How was your time in CT? It's all about making your patient feel comfortable. They're already in a vulnerable state and they're already nervous to be there. So I think just like being a friendly face and helping them and listening to them makes all the difference.
As you probably noticed in the job description, this position is part-time per diem role. What kinds of flexibility do you have to accommodate the needs of the position?
So that was actually one of my follow-up questions. I've gotten a couple different answers from different people who told me about this position. So I am pretty flexible when it comes to part-time. I'm currently part-time working 30 hours at Middleborough. So that is my main location. But I am looking to also supplement. So I am open to that and just kind of seeing what your needs are. So that was one of the questions that I was actually going to follow up with because I am curious about what that would look like.
So what hours do you work in Middleborough?
So it changes weekly. I work with both Kayla Smith and Jen Gailey. Depending on what the days look like, I have a pretty flexible schedule. Before I wasn't working Mondays. Now I am working Mondays. I have a half day on Fridays. Typically I try to do 3 days during the week, like 8 to 5, and then Friday 8 to noon. But that's definitely something that's flexible.
Okay, great.
Okay. This is I can't see it.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, there you are. I'm sorry. It was us. It wasn't you.
Oh,
Little glitch in Zoom. Sorry.
This is the hardest question. It's like, why do you feel you are the best candidate for this position?
So I think I have a lot to bring to the table. I'm creative, I'm dedicated, I'm, organized. I have both a background in nursing as well as in sports entertainment and event management. So that's definitely something that sets me apart and makes me a little bit unique. I'm outgoing. I am compassionate, empathetic, and willing to do the work. I think I would be a great candidate, not necessarily saying that I'm better than anyone else, but I do think that I would be a strong candidate.
Okay. Because, the position is like 2 to 4 hours a week and kind of varies. But it sounds like you're flexible enough. So,
yes.
Okay.
Okay, now's your chance to put us on the hot seat, I suppose.
All right.
So what questions do you have for us?
Sure. I'm just going to grab my questions if you don't mind. Historically speaking, what would you say would your typical day look like for the public health nurse in the town of Dayton?
So as Vinny said, the hours fluctuate depending on what events we have. So it would fluctuate from like maybe 2 to 4 hours a week. So I think it's hard to describe what the typical day would be, unless Liz, our office manager, wants to jump in, because she holds us all together. She's the glue that holds this whole division together.
Hi, Liz. Nice to place your name.
So she may be able to answer that a little bit better than we can, because she's in the office Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday.
You're in the hot seat.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's the meetings that we need you available for. We have the Alliance that has meetings to attend. Maven, we would need you for. And then we typically do just like blood pressure clinics and blood drives, stuff like that. So that would be a weekend thing usually, but no more than a few hours on a weekend.
Okay.
So it's not terribly time consuming, but I think what Tammy was saying is we want someone to be able to, come and try new things and just go into the schools and teach the kids stuff like that. So I believe there's room to
grow, definitely to grow.
Definitely.
It's not hard and fast like 2 hours. It might just be an hour 1 week. It might be a little bit more than 4. It might be something with the Council of Aging. Tammy and Liz said, might be something with the schools. So it's just, it's a small town. I mean, Dayton's a small town. So we're not, we don't have a lot, large schools or a lot of them, but it sounds like you'd be flexible enough, I would say.
Yeah.
What would you say is one of the common health issues that you're seeing in the town of Dayton? I'm sure it probably varies. I'm sure there are some similarities with Middleborough, but varies at the same time.
I think that would vary. Liz, do you have anything to add to that?
COVID was usually just a big thing, and now that, the weather's finally cooperating, we want to promote, Lyme and, tick awareness and mosquitoes. Just the Tripoli and all those, same stuff in Middleborough.
We haven't seen any measles or anything like that in the town, right?
No.
So,
That's great. Knock on wood.
Exactly. And it's nice to get out into the community to do those blood pressure clinics or blood drives or anything like that. So just to let you know, so Vinny and I are pretty new to the committee. We're just almost coming up on a year. So there's been a little bit of change, and we're really trying to sort of build everything from where we are, and we'd love to see, more out in the community, more involvement, maybe even going into the schools and doing like the CPR, and more programs.
yeah.
I mean, I like what you were talking about, the different things that you've done, the podcast, that's great, going out into the community. And it sounds like you're very creative, as you said, and developing things that you think would catch on, with the young kids, and give them programs or develop programs for them. So I like that, so I think it's things like that, we can certainly grow from now through the future.
My
So
next question.
that's important.
Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
that's okay. Go ahead.
My next question is, so here in the town of Middleborough, it's very seldom that I'm, it's debated on, the situation of going into patients' homes and that kind of that situation. How does that look for the town of Dayton? Like, I know here in Middleborough, it's very scarce that I'm going into a patient's home.
I would say the same thing here, very scarce. And I mean, the only time you're really going into maybe as close to a home would be to like Lincoln Village, doing, they just had a health fair, maybe going to a facility, but we don't have so many of those here.
It's at request. We recently had one resident who needed someone to teach her how to put the diabetes checker on. So the Alliance nurse went over there and did it, but I've been here for 2 years and that was the first time someone has called and asked for help.
Oh, great. Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So I think most of it, I would probably say is programs that you're putting together. Mm-hmm. Maybe going over to the senior center, or if there's an event here in town, over the summer, like they just had the Couch Festival, maybe putting a table together for that, an educational table.
Oh, absolutely.
It's things like that. And as I said, I think we all need to grow in this department and be more out there for the public. I'd love to see more programs out there for kids and for seniors, and I think that's what we're here for. So I'd like to see more of that. So it's just trying to navigate to that.
Absolutely. I totally understand.
So,
no, it definitely does.
So anyone who comes in, I guess you can say is a good time to come in because we're still new. So we're all growing together.
Absolutely. That's exactly how
it's sort of like a clean slate,
right.
And building it up and developing.
That's exactly how it was walking into Middleborough. I had never had any other than, my clinicals coming from school of like public health nursing. And they were like, you are autonomous. Like you can, and I'm used to, at this time for your 13-hour shift, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. So at the first I was like, oh, I can just come up with whatever ideas I want. And my boss was like, yeah, absolutely. So, I feel like since February, we've done a lot. And I would be happy to bring some of the ideas to Dayton as well.
That'd be great. It certainly sounds like you've done a lot and you definitely have some great energy. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
So I think
One last question.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
So I was wondering, in the town of Dayton, who does right now in Middleborough, I work with the health inspectors to do the camp inspections as well as, the tattoo parlor inspections. Is that something that your public health nurse would do as well? Or how does that look?
So I don't think we have any tattoo parlors here. We're pretty quiet here. The only thing we might have is some cows and horses, and it's pretty quiet. I'm not so sure. We don't even have that many restaurants or.
We don't get a lot of feedback.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah.
And do we do any camps here? I don't think we do, right?
I didn't see any when I was Googling to find camps. And so I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing any on that front.
No, there's no campgrounds. I mean, we'll have like a high school camp, like a volleyball camp, but that's
the extent.
of.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm definitely used to that. I live in Bridgewater, West Bridgewater. So my neighbors all have cows too. So.
Very good.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Becca.
Thank you
That's
so much
all
for
the questions
having
you have. That's all the questions we have. We so appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
And thank you very much.
Thank you so
And
much.
We'll be in touch.
Perfect. It was so nice to meet you all, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you so
Take
much.
care.
Sarah just texted me, she said she's gonna be able to come in, so.
Oh, okay, great. Oh, I think she's here.
You can go in there.
Yep.
You want to stand at the podium? Okay.
And I apologize to everybody here that you're sitting through interviews. It was kind of all just happened when we put this meeting together.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello. This is awkward.
No worries, no worries. Be comfortable.
Yeah.
And what happened on Zoom?
That was me just admitting somebody in.
All right. So, welcome, Sarah. We'll try to make this as comfortable as we can. It's pretty informal. There's just a million people in the audience.
I'm standing at a podium. I feel like I should be given a lecture that I'm unprepared for.
If this makes you feel any better, when Vinny and I interviewed for this position, I think we had more people in the audience.
Yeah.
So I totally understand.
Yeah.
First question, what's the quadratic formula? Can you recite that?
I'm embarrassed. I'm not.
Well, again, welcome, and we'll try to make this really easy for you because you get a chance at the end to ask us questions, and we want you to go easy on us too. So, so what we do basically is Vinny and I will, since there's only two people on the panel, will alternate in asking you questions. And they're easy questions. And we're probably going to answer a bunch of the questions in one of the answers that you give us. So we apologize if we have to repeat it. So I'll start off by asking you, please tell us about yourself, your education, your work experience, and how you feel that that has prepared you for the position of public health nurse for the town of Dayton.
Oh boy. I'll share. Yeah. I'm actually from New Hampshire. I started as an LPN, well, a CNA, LPN, RN, then a BSN down here when I moved.
Oh, nice.
So I came here in 2011, lived in Plymouth. But I started my career in long-term care. I was teaching up there the CNA program before I moved. And then I moved down here. I became a resident care director in an assisted living for multiple years. And I was also working hospice at the same time. And that was an on-call position. So in people's room, you have to work autonomously.
That's a tough position.
It's on the fly because you don't know these people. You're just going into their houses, and you're developing a relationship quickly. And then in between all of that, with the resident care director positions, I had to teach. I had to teach all the CNAs. The nurses. I was responsible for all the families, the residents, and then of course that led me into teaching where I am now.
Oh, that's great.
I made it through my first year of sophomores. So
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Teaching is not easy.
No. And there, I mean, along the way, I've just learned, I mean, I taught CPR for multiple years, and then I gave it up when they changed the dolls, because I had 3 of them at home. And they wanted everything to be lighted. And so now I have it again, because now I'm teaching. I went to the Alzheimer's Association, and I have to train the trainer for that. Also, trying to think of what other teaching things I've done in the community.
Sounds like you've held many positions
I am.
in the field of nursing.
Usually, I mean, nurses don't always have one job. They have 2 at a time, or 3. And I worked with developmental disabilities. We actually have rotations even in the school that is definitely to enhance, you know, how they learn. I think there's everybody out there. It's not just one type of person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I have guardianship of a developmentally disabled man myself, but he's very functional. Trying to think. I don't know. I think that's about it for the
That
most
sounds
part.
great.
Okay.
I'm sure I'm missing things, but
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, please describe any past experience you have working with a local Board of Health or the Massachusetts Department of Public Health.
COVID. Of course, COVID.
With the local boards of health?
It was, actually I was working in the school system as a substitute school nurse. And I was helping out actually at Old Rochester Regional. And we had to do all the track and trace, so we had to keep calling and getting directives, and they were changing daily. So that was my biggest interaction, was 2 years of that, and then I was still working in hospice at the time, and so we were also getting directives over there. And I was dressing on people's lawns and tie-up suits. That's a lot, yeah, but yeah, I mean, is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've already answered the question, so I apologize again. How do you feel about working with our schools to adopt new programs such as CPR training for students? It sounds like you're already doing that.
I'm already doing that.
Very good.
And we're implementing even the medication program now, because it's in the new frameworks.
Excellent.
Thank you. Please describe your experience with Maven and disease reporting for the state of Massachusetts.
I haven't.
Not used Maven? Okay.
Can you give us an example of a community health program you developed, ran, or participated in?
We're doing a lot of that in the schools here. We've done a program over at the Pace Head Start in New Bedford. We're teaching kids different types of nursing.
Excellent.
Like hygiene.
Sure.
Those types of things. We've done gifts together. Can't think of what else. But I've done a lot of CPR training, but that was up in Somerville. Just
Great.
for the rec department.
Okay. Would you have any difficulty implementing any local, state, or federal public health protocol that you do not agree with?
No. I mean, I think when you work in hospice, you're going into houses that have their own religious and everything. You just go with it.
You have to adapt.
Yeah.
Can you provide specific examples of your recent experience working with clients, elders, the general public, and families?
Oh, geez. My gosh, since 2000, well, forever, actually. Recently, of course, we do clinicals. So we've been out at a lot of nursing homes, assisted living. And then I only left hospice last year. So I've actually been out working in public since then, in home, nursing homes.
Great.
proposed.
Do you have any recent experience doing clinical work with patients such as immunizations and TB testing?
I haven't had to do that recently. No,
No experience, okay.
no, not recently.
Not recently, but have you done it in the past? You have done it in the past?
Yes.
Do you have any relationships with local stakeholder or provider groups who you would be able to call upon as a resource on behalf of Dayton residents as our public health nurse? Okay, that's okay.
I'm not
Those
shy.
could be developed.
Yeah, I'm not shy.
So this position, you interface with the public frequently. What skills do you have that would enable you to effectively deal with residents on sensitive and confidential health matters?
As far as,
Patients' personal information.
HIPAA,
oh,
Yeah,
it all. It's exactly what you do already,
yeah,
probably since the day you started nursing.
and even prior.
okay.
Have you had any training and or experience with emergency preparedness? COVID?
Yes.
Describe the situation in your role.
Well, like I said, it's the ever changing. I think if we go back to COVID, it was ever changing. It was the day to day. So yes, we were changing. I mean, we went from not having masks or using the same one for the same place to finally having enough to go around. But yeah, but that was ever changing.
Or do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. What have you done in previous positions to help establish and maintain quality customer service within your organization or department?
Well, I mean, are we talking about as a director or?
No, I'd say more what would you do with patients' questions or, interacting with patients, on a customer service level?
You have to listen.
Yeah.
I mean, depends on the situation and who the person is. I mean, that's how you handle it. You have to decide.
Okay.
You don't treat your friends the same. They're all different. So.
As you probably noticed in the job description, this position is a part-time per diem role. What kinds of flexibility do you have to accommodate the needs of the position?
I mean, I have school hours.
So what are your hours at school?
I have it out at 2:30.
Okay,
I think my late day is Tuesday at 3:30.
okay. And then every other day, 2:30.
Okay, so why do you feel you are the best candidate for this position?
I've had many roles, and I feel like I have a lot of knowledge and background to bring to the position.
Okay, and the hardest question, well, for us. Do you have any questions for us?
I don't know. I didn't expect to be on the podium in front of a bunch of people, so I'm a little shell-shocked right now.
I think most of the people are sleeping, so you're good.
Yeah, you're fine. This isn't, highly watched on Netflix, I can assure you. So you don't have to worry about that.
They're not going to be buying it or anything?
No, I doubt that they're going to be
Or
99 to watch.
excellent.
I'm sorry. So what you could do is, if you have any questions, you could always email, Liz is our main contact person, and I keep saying the same thing over and over, but she's the glue that brings this whole vision together. So she is the main person. So if you did have any questions, don't hesitate, just email her, you can call her. The best would probably be email because she's super busy sometimes in the office. So keep the lines of communication open and answer any questions you may have, but we really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
And what we'll do is we're going to make a decision and we'll notify you as soon as that decision.
Okay.
Yeah. So
describe the position as far as how you see it and how Dayton has it. I mean, Taunton's obviously would be different than Dayton's, and
Yeah, sure. I'll let Vinny go because I don't want to be the first person with those answers. So I'm gonna let you go first this time.
So obviously it's a very low hour position, 2 to 4 hours a week. And it can vary, like it could be maybe an hour or two somewhere, it could be 4, it might be a little bit more. You might be setting up and teaching CPR to one of the schools, or you might be running maybe an immunization clinic, perhaps, for the Council on Aging, something along that nature. So again, we're a small town. We don't have a lot of crises here, thankfully. So it's not like, we call you in and you'd be on like an 18-hour shift. It'll be something more along the lines of that, teaching CPR, blood pressure clinics, things like that, maybe drawing blood, I guess. But other than that, it's nothing, you're not going to be performing operations or anything.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy. Like Vinny said, 2 to 4 hours. I don't know if you heard what we were talking about before you walked in, but
I was listening a little bit.
we're new. Vinny and I both new. We're just almost finishing our first year. So we'd really like to see a nurse come in and develop programs to go out into the community and be a resource. Within those hours, and just somebody who can, work independently and build different programs, because we really want to all work together and just be a resource for the community. I think it's important, being the Board of Health, that we're a big resource. Maybe even do some programs with the kids, because I don't know that there's a whole lot going on right now in the schools I don't know that there's any other programs that nurses go in and do any education. So it'd be nice to have some programs like that go in.
So I wonder if even locally, if they had, just side note, the schools here, because that's what we do. In Rochester, we go out to Head Starts,
right?
Children's programs. They do blood pressure clinics. So maybe tapping the school.
Right.
I mean, it's a great experience for them.
Right.
And
I just think it's good for the town.
Absolutely.
When we have different festivals in the summertime, like the Cow Chip Festival, maybe setting up a table there and having some resources, maybe, doing some blood pressure as people go by. Maybe they want their blood pressure checked. After they eat the food from the food trucks and the sodium. But
check your blood pressure.
We want people to, like, we don't want to tell you what to do. We want you to know, hey, this would be a great program. I think I'm going to work on this. So independently be able to work on programs.
Just like we do in the school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Built 2 or 3 programs in the school already.
Yeah, and there would be some history too, so you could go back and look what was previously done.
And I think Liz, I'm not sure if you heard what Liz said, but sometimes you do have to jump on. They still doing the meetings on Zoom? Yes, to jump on a Zoom and attend a meeting. And they're not very long, but just so we have a representative from the town. And I think that Vinny and I both are easy to work with. So, and Liz is wonderful. So, we just want to make it better. We want to, and I keep saying it, we just want to be a great resource for the people in the community, and have different programs.
So getting out there and teaching and things like that would be.
And it's nice because we haven't had a nurse in a while. So like I said, it's sort of a clean slate. So you're starting, starting new, because there hasn't been one here in a bit. Ever since we've been here, we haven't had one. We've been searching for one.
We've done a bunch of interviews and we haven't, for various reasons.
Yeah, so.
Okay. So they don't know what they're doing. For the most part.
So, yeah. So we appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
For being so patient. And like I said, any questions, you can email Liz as a point of contact, and we will be in touch with you very soon.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
No.
All right, moving on. Reports, announcements. We don't have a health agent, so Liz, do you want to give us a report?
I don't have anything there that's.
Okay, perfect. How about as office manager, anything that you want to discuss?
The only thing that I can mention is the health agent's position's been posted and the vacancy on the
On that
Website.
website? Okay, awesome. Stacy, anything from animal control? Sorry you had to wait so long.
More wildlife than it is animal control. We have had bear sightings, and I'm gonna say sightings in town. I'm not gonna tell you where they were because they're probably not there at this point. We've had a baby and a mom and a dad that was sighted. So, and there's been other places. They've been here, they're gonna be here. And if I thought somebody was in danger, or your animals were in danger, or your children were in danger, I would let you know where it was. On the side, just so you know, we also have bobcats, because I've had a lot of people coming up, did you see this? Yes, I have seen that. Again, they don't want to interact with you, so just leave them alone. And if I thought a specific place was in danger, I would let you know.
Yeah, so nothing, no particular place in town, they're just kind of everywhere?
They're everywhere.
Okay.
Bears, you can see a bear, as Tammy can, you see it in her yard, and by the time I was not even 5 minutes away, it was already 20 miles away from where I was.
It went through my yard a couple years ago.
Oh. So
yeah.
what would you do if someone reported a bear sighting or a bobcat?
I take it down. Again, tell them, don't leave the trash out, take in your bird feeders, take in your hummingbird feeders, because those are very sweet. Right now, Mama's showing babies how to get food. Close your dumpsters, because that's where they go for. They're opportunists. They're gonna go for the best place and be in and be out. If you call me, by the time I get there, it probably won't be there, but I do write down where they are. If we see them frequently in somebody's yard, we will call them by rental, and we will take different steps to see what needs to happen. But don't go out and confront them. Don't go out and making a whole bunch of noise, because they will move on. Once they've finished with what they're doing, they're going to move on.
And I think it's important to say, don't go and try to take a selfie with one, because we all see that on Facebook. You laugh, but it's the honest to God truth.
It will be happening.
So there's no need for that. Yeah,
So those
important.
wildlife things that you don't think are in town are in town. We just are very good at not showing you where they are and what they're doing, so.
And not to touch animals, wild animals, if you do come into contact with them, especially if they're rabies vector species.
Yes, raccoons, a lot of raccoons being killed in the street or almost killed in the street, like I had today, that I thought was dead and really wasn't. Don't touch them. Just call, because that way I can either take care of it, or in effect of a groundhog getting hurt, I can tell you how to capture it, so it doesn't.
That would have been me, guys. I had one in my yard on, when was it, Sunday? I'm the person who drove an hour to Tufts University to drop it off.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Yeah, of course.
I apologize. I have a 3 o'clock meeting, and I respectfully request that you could
Sure.
sort of take the agenda out of order so I could discuss.
Absolutely. I think we need to make a motion on that, to take things out of order.
Yep.
So you were with the town trash bag.
Yeah.
Was it the vendor agreement, or which one?
The
The waste, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, motion to take the agenda out of order, jump to item 7B, waste agreement extension.
I step down, I second that motion. Can I get a vote?
Aye.
I vote aye, motion passes.
Thank you. I appreciate it
You're
very much.
welcome.
I didn't, the meeting got stacked up this afternoon. So what do you have before you we have the waste disposal agreement with CMAS, which is coming up. So they give us a 5-year agreement. So we had budgeted, what you see before you, we had budgeted for around that $100 rate ton. So that's what was sort of approved at town meeting. But we're working with New World to give us a break. In the end, winds up being the same amount of money, but beginning July 1st, 2025, if the health department, the Board of Health agrees, the rate per ton would be 87.
Yeah.
So jump up for in 2026, but it'll give us an opportunity to save approximately $20,000 for fiscal year 26, while we get our budget again. So if health department, the Board of Health will be seeing that soon. If you are okay with that, I could pass it along, and I'm available for any questions.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw the spreadsheet, the breakdown. Saving money. I mean, that's.
Yeah, well, we save our money up front and wind up paying it at the back end, but at least it'll give us an opportunity.
Is that, it's a 5-year agreement?
It's 5 years.
Yeah. 5 years at that price point?
I wish it was 5 years at 8741. It has the breakout. Next year will be 110, then 115, 116, then 119.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't. Oh, yeah, here it is. Yep. 2026 is 110, 2027, 115. That's not horrible, though. I mean, when you look at 2026 at 110, and then it goes to 115, and then 116 in 2028, and then 119, that's not terrible. $1, $2. $3.
They have a cap on how much they could increase it. So, but like I said, in negotiation, what can we do, especially into this fiscal year?
Yeah, I think that's fine. Your feelings?
Yeah, I mean, if we're saving money, I think we have to vote on it anyway, but, I mean, if we're saving money.
Yeah, like either way, we had, again,
things, it's
budgeted for the original number and then shift it around, so. We'll be saving about 20 grand.
Yeah, that's a decent chunk.
Yeah. So, especially for we're running a really tight budget, so maybe, we could shift that money around, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, do you want us to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve waste.
All right, I step down. I second that motion. Can I get a vote?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Okay, so jumping back up to old business. Thank you. You're very welcome. Old business, CNN Pizza update request. Hello, sir.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, all right.
Sorry for the wait.
All right. My name is Biram Donor, owner's project manager, and we have done the Title V, and it's passed.
Okay.
Nothing with that.
Okay. The only thing I noticed with the Title V is there were some pieces of information I'm sorry, let me try that again. There were some pieces of information that were not included with the Title V. So if we don't have that, I feel as though it's not complete. There's 2 pieces of information on page 9 and on page 8 that were not included from source.
Yeah.
And if you, we can probably either, Liz, I don't know if that's something you could call on to source and get, or if you want to call them and maybe put a little pressure on them to send that over, but they didn't send us a complete report.
Yeah.
Okay.
So unfortunately, we can't say that it's completed because we don't have all the information. We only have just a unfinished report, basically.
Yeah, not on your end, on the inspectors,
It was on the
inspector missed it for whatever reason.
So, like I said, on page 9, the inspector needs to completely fill out the requested information for the building sewer. Distance from water supply, the inspector must measure, scale, or closely estimate the distance from the building sewer to the well municipal water line, and provide comments on its condition, evidence of leakage, etc. And on page 8, the inspector checks that the water readings are attached, but there were none included with the report.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I hope you understand that.
I do, yeah.
Because we don't have that.
Yeah, we could give.
Do you want to take this?
Yeah.
So are you gonna, Liz will talk to them, or
It might be easier, I
mean,
think,
for
if
her,
you,
it's official from her to let them know that's incomplete.
I sent
Yeah.
them this as well.
and maybe you could follow up.
I follow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did send this to Source.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Once that is completed, sir, we still are in need of, so the last meeting we had, we said that, it was important to do the Title V and get the engineer. Do you recall that?
We did talk about just Title V.
And the engineer.
They did talk to the engineer.
Okay, so we would need a report from the engineer too.
And our engineer,
Whoever the owner
Yeah.
decides to, I can't tell you what engineer to pick, but whatever engineer your client decides to hire in order to do that report. So we would need that. So I don't know if that's something you want to start working on. And again, we apologize for the holdup. I know it probably seems like everything's moving so slow, but unfortunately, that's the way it works.
Yeah.
We can't move forward because we don't have a complete report.
okay,
And without having the engineer, go in and do an inspection and create a report for you.
okay,
Those two pieces of information.
all right.
Makes sense?
Yeah, so what do you exactly need from the engineer to inspect?
Well, they would have to hire an engineer
Okay.
and talk to them exactly what it is that they wanted to do. So the engineer would know at that point what was needed. So they would create a plan, I suppose, is the best way to say
Just
it.
like our engineer submitted you a memo of like what he thinks, you would need an engineer to have the plans and submit a memo of why the system will work, and we can't tell you what to say, obviously, but you hire an engineer and they'll know what to submit.
So what's, just to understand, what the engineer said, the engineer that you talked to?
It's the paper I sent you from Jerry and what Matt.
Mhm.
So if you want to come in later, I can give you, or I can email it to you again. It's what our engineer said when he reviewed the plans.
Okay. You want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, and then with that information, and then, we're good to go. I mean, your inspector dropped the ball. I mean, that's kind of the bottom line, right?
Yeah, we
They
apologize.
should have known that, and they did that, but, again, that's not on you, that's really on them. I mean, certainly you pay for this. I would, if it was me, I know what I would do. But, I'd go back to them and say, hey, what's going on? We need that information. And then we can get the ball rolling again. If it's something that's of urgency, like, you have that information done, you don't have to wait until our next meeting. You could say, hey, we're ready to go. We could call an emergency meeting if we had to, because we want to make sure that, you're served in the town. So, you don't have to wait a month from now. You say, hey, we got it next week. We contact Liz. She sets up an emergency meeting. We could bring you in. We're both, Tammy and I, are very flexible. We vote on it and you should be good to go.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for
your patience. We
understanding.
Appreciate it.
This is the letter. This is what our engineer wrote.
I
So have your
motion on that
do that.
Yeah.
to table it until.
Yep.
Okay.
So I make a motion to table the CNN Pizza updated request until we get the information that we need from the Title V inspection and the engineer's report.
Okay, I step down. I second that motion. Can I get a vote?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Okay, moving on to B, old business town trash bag vendor agreement.
Yeah, I just sent you the old one
Yep.
that has red. That's what I changed and took off.
The old one is in the red, right?
Yeah. That's the changes I made.
Okay.
So the selectmen approved it for the town administrator. So as long as you guys are okay with that, we can go on with vendors to sign it.
Yeah, so that to pay upon delivery.
Delivery.
Okay,
Okay, sounds great.
sounds good.
I get a motion?
I would make a motion to approve the town trash bag vendor agreement.
I step down and second that motion. Can I get a vote?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. All right, moving on to new business, 1901 Milk Street septic discussion. Do we have any representatives for Milk Street?
Just table it to the next item, because I have one of my members is.
This is Sue.
Yeah,
We got an appointment too, like everybody's got an appointment.
I know, I'm sorry.
I'll be here in 5 minutes. He's just up the road.
I don't know that we can keep moving the schedule around. I apologize for everybody. It just puts us in a,
I just like you requested us to be here.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just have to go according to how it is on the schedule, because I can't keep a comment. I'm trying, but I can't keep moving things around.
Talking about it for at least 5 minutes.
Yeah, at least
So
5 minutes.
you have time. Okay, so who do I have here from Milk Street?
You gotta go up there.
Yes,
Yeah, if you don't mind. At least you have somebody go with you, so it's not as bad. If you can just state your name and tell us who you are.
I'm Colleen Leonardo.
address?
Oh, okay, great. Okay,
I'm Jeffrey Bates, her husband.
okay, excellent, thank you. So if you wanna tell us a little bit about what's happening over at 1901 Milk Street, I guess we can start there. And then we can move forward.
Okay, first I'd like to make mention that Amber Roulette is a tenant that we had to evict, and we've been in eviction court. She has recently moved out into the eviction. She has done multiple things to me to.
Call the cops, she throws stuff on our windows and calls the cops on us. Very vindictive to the whole.
Yeah.
So
And
I had,
you know, that, it sounds horrible, but that doesn't really relate to the Board of Health, so.
so I sent her a text message telling her that I have to get into the basement on that side as I have septic work needed to be done. Because we had water that was coming up, so.
The pump let go in the septic.
Okay,
So we had work already being done.
okay. So if I can just stop you for a second and just ask you, when did the pump let go?
It's been like spotty. I was able to fix the wire one time and it worked, so I left it dug up until we could get a contractor to come over.
Could you give me a specific, like, roundabout date? Was it last
2
week?
months.
Was it 2 months ago, 3 months ago, last
It
summer?
hasn't been like backing up, but 2 months it's been dug up.
Okay, and did you say you called somebody?
Yeah.
Okay.
We couldn't get the first guy, he gave us a date and he couldn't come, and then we
Okay.
ended up getting the contractor that came.
Okay,
And we had
who,
told Amber that we needed to get in the basement.
who would the contractor be?
Divine.
Divine,
Divine.
okay, is he here?
No, he can't make it. He
Okay,
said if I wanted to, I could call him and he could talk to us on speaker.
okay,
I'm texting him now.
okay, all right, so go ahead, sorry.
So she said I had a sub pump in the sewer, in the septic, and I had a 5-gallon bucket of rocks outside of it because that area is prone to flood.
Yep,
So I wasn't pumping septic, I was just trying to dry the land so we could get into it, because it was really, that's where we get all our flood water from.
okay,
So you're saying like your tenant wouldn't let you in, is that what you're saying?
We had to call the cops almost every time to get in our own house.
I had to call my lawyer for like a 24-hour notice to put on our door. So.
She's also got pictures of fire alarms not being there, she took them all.
Yeah, those.
She took them all, and she took pictures of it, it's amazing.
Part of this is that you couldn't
People,
get in to fix the problem because she wouldn't let you in.
yeah,
No, she
and,
wouldn't let us in the basement.
and the pictures that she has of saying that we're trying to hide stuff is the people from Tri-State Water Waste is the one who actually put the pump in.
Mhm.
So those are the workers. I mean, I don't know,
when did they put a pump in?
I want to say on that Friday, I think it was the Thursday or the Friday.
Can you just tell me a date, I'm sorry, because I don't know which Thursday or Friday. Okay,
5/16, 5/17, because they had to, they came twice, like one to look at the pump, know what they had to come back with and so on.
okay,
It's kind of funny though, we gave her notice that we were having it fixed and she had you there 2 days before it was gonna get fixed, so like kind of ironic, isn't it?
Hmm.
Lived there for 5 years and never had a complaint.
Yeah.
We had complaints after a really bad eviction.
mhm,
And the sad part is this is a friend of mine, this isn't somebody
Started
that
out
I
as friends.
just,
right,
like, I don't rent my property, it was a place that she needed, so.
Yeah,
I do have an active case with my lawyer that went through eviction because of all the retaliation that she's trying to do between calling the police on me for spots on a window, saying I threw stuff on it, like, this is just another thing to add to.
Right, so if I can just refer you to pictures that I'm looking at. What is all this in the ground here? I see a hose, a blue hose, I see wires,
That's what he was.
cones, I mean, what is all
I
this?
put the cones there because we have kids,
Okay.
kids running around the yard. And that was the
Okay.
pump I set up just to try to dry the land a little. It wasn't in the septic tank, it was outside the area because we
Mhm.
tend to flood there.
Okay,
And it was only there 24 hours.
okay,
And then all these pictures of people working, like I said, the end pictures.
so when did you say it was there for 24 hours, that hose?
The pump was only there for like 24 hours.
Give me a date again, just so I can, I like to,
14, it was like,
May the 14th?
yeah, it's like a couple of days before what we were doing.
Okay,
There's so much rain, I didn't want them to show up and say, I can't do it because everything's saturated, you know?
right,
And I never had, she made mention of a inspection that failed. I don't have no idea what she's talking about.
Never happened.
I put that subject.
so let me ask you this, what has Divine done? Has he
He
fixed?
pumped it. He
Divine
pumped it and
pumps.
he referred us to the guy who
Okay, and when did he pump this? Because we have no record that he pumped anything.
5/16, I have the receipt for
Can I see that? If you don't mind. This is a big table, sorry. Thank you. 5/16.
When was it?
The May 16th.
May 16th?
All right, so he pumped it and now what's happening with
the guy
this?
came back the following day and put the pump in. We just need an inspection, I believe. Everything's
Okay.
done,
And-
everything's
and-
working.
He put a pump in. Who do you mean by he put a pump in?
Tri-State.
Tri-State came back.
Divine called, Divine, I guess he works with Divine because
Okay,
Divine is the person that I called to do the job originally.
okay,
And then when the pump, he pumps the stuff out and then Tri-State Waste, I believe is the name, they come in and they do, which is the picture of the guy and the girl. They're the ones who are repairing, and picking for the pump.
I spoke to Divine and he did say they replaced the pump and the float.
okay,
Not answering my text.
okay.
I do have an email, I have a screenshot on my phone of the email, of his work that was done. I can
Okay,
email that.
okay. Yeah, that would be helpful because we haven't received anything from contractor.
Okay,
And normally that's something that is reported to us anytime you have a company come in that pumps any of the houses here in
Now,
Dayton.
is that on the homeowner or is a contract?
It's the contractor, so that
yeah, he
would
had said
be,
that because it was a Friday, there was nobody here, so, I mean, he should have came back on
Well,
Monday.
today, I
He should have came
believe-
back on Monday.
today is the
He
17th.
still has not,
Yeah, I mean, we're easy to work with, but, you know,
he told
I
me
mean,
he was gonna go.
it's been
on
some time,
Monday.
it's been a month.
Monday. Yeah, he should have done that. He
So,
told me on,
yeah.
it was a Friday that he finished the job, that he was gonna do
Mhm,
what he had to on Monday.
mhm.
So I don't know, do I contact him for that or?
I think we'll take care of that.
Okay.
Liz has been in touch with him. I don't think that, I mean, I'm not gonna blame you for that. You don't have any control over him sending us that information. The only thing that we, as the Board of Health, were really concerned about is, you know, getting photographs when we see a hose with something liquid coming out, you know, some type of cord. You know, it's easier to see on a computer than printed, you know, copy paper.
I had a letter in there from Jerry, the engineer,
Mhm.
and he had made a recommendation of, I believe it was
Yeah, I saw that.
5,
Yep.
to make sure the system was running.
Gotcha.
It is a Title V, I do know that, because the subject was put in probably 19.
You have that, Vinnie, or Liz?
I
You have that?
I had it
Can glance at
somewhere,
that?
yeah.
I know, we have so many papers on
Was
this.
the Title V?
When we, I wanna say was in 2005. So, because we had to upgrade it.
Title V was only good for 2 years, so that's probably why he recommended doing another Title V. And he had said once they pulled the permit, he would be out there to do the inspection, so he could do, you know, everything all at once, but that was his recommendation was them to do Title V, just to make sure the system is.
Oh, it's right. Is it not? That's not-
Title V, you have the company come out and just, assess the
This
system.
maintenance cost us like $10,000. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
So you do understand that, all those issues, it's
Yeah.
not our doing.
No, I
Unfortunately,
totally
yeah, I don't want you to think that
totally
we're.
get why you would want to
Yeah,
do it.
I mean, we're not trying to cost anybody money. I mean, we're two people on this board who are here for the people. That's why we both do what we do. We're both retired. Trust me, I'd rather be home and not have to do
No, I
it.
appreciate it because I live in this town and
Exactly.
and I get it.
So we're not trying to give you a hard time. We're trying to work with people.
yeah.
But you
I'm
know,
going back to work so I can get some
unfortunately,
rest.
when you have rental properties, it's not always easy, and it always seems to be those people that are friends or people you know, who are the people who cause the
Yeah.
problem, so.
That's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, but we do have jobs to do here. We have to
No,
follow
I
a
understand.
certain standard that, the way we operate. So we are gonna request that you get a Title V on that property. And then, as Liz said, our health agent, our acting health agent could go back out and do the inspection, and then we'll take it up with Divine to get that paperwork.
I contact. You call a separate company, is that what that means?
You could,
Call Castro.
if you have somebody that, you know, you've worked with in the past, we can't refer, we can give you a list of companies. We just couldn't tell you.
So is it like, when you say Title V, is it just an inspection to make sure that everything is running the way it should be? Okay.
Yep. So, yeah, that's all that.
So that wouldn't be able to be done by the person who did the job already? Like,
I don't know if they do that.
Having the same person do it.
Yeah, because they'll pass it, even if it
Yeah.
doesn't pass, right?
Oh, I get.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
get somebody independent to do it, and then I think we'd be good to go after that.
So
We just send the paperwork here after they do it.
The company who does.
they send it to us. So we're just gonna ask, we do have Lisa here who represents conservation.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind just hanging tight, we'll just have you go back to your seats, and then we'll call Lisa up. Because there was lots of different pieces to this, so I know that, one of you, maybe ma'am, you met Lisa on the property. I don't know if you
Well, I
remember.
never got to speak to anybody, that's what I was upset about. I'm not home,
Okay.
no one ever,
Yeah.
like.
It was your dog.
Oh, okay.
I'll explain when I come.
Okay, so we'll just let her come up real quick and just give conservation's perspective on it. And, you know, we all work together. And like we said, we're not trying to make or create more work for you or get you to spend more money. I find that we want to work with people, but there's certain steps that do need to be taken. So we just want to make sure we do it all right the first time.
I'm writing us.
You're welcome.
I just printed out a couple of maps. So there's a little red X you can clearly see.
Where's the X?
Oh, it's here.
Where's the X, Lisa?
Yeah, where's
I can't even see it.
Okay. I just threw one
Oh,
on there
okay.
real
Right
quick. That's the site.
Can you show me? Because I'm,
1901. It's a very little X. I just
Oh,
threw
okay,
an X
got
on
it.
there.
okay.
So what this is a mass mapper, which is a good mapping tool that we use for some things, and specifically looking at like resources. So we know there's a public drinking water supply area nearby, so that little pink circle there is exactly where the wells are, Somerset Wells. And then the grid pattern that you see around this with the dark pink, or the bright pink, I should say, is all what's called the zone 2. So that's all aquifer protection. So one of the values of Wetlands Protection Act and our local Conservation Commission bylaw is protection of public drinking water and protection of private drinking water. So that's why we have an interest in this. We're not just trying to give you a hard time, but additionally, behind you is also what's called, I'm sure you've gotten a butter notices, Bell Farm Estates. There's a proposed subdivision back there, which is in the design phase, permitting phase, but we haven't permitted anything yet. We have only permitted the review of the wetland delineation, so we know that there are wetland resources, including vernal pools and sensitive habitats back there, and there's streams, and there's, again, the aquifer protection zone. So it's just concerning when we got contacted by your tenant asking us to look into it, and we reached out to Matt, and subsequently I ended up going to the site. I was there about 5 minutes, and it was on May 14th. You
Can I
don't
just
come out.
Stop you for a second.
Yeah.
I don't think they know who Matt is.
Matt Tanis was the health agent that was here. He's not here, right? He's not here any longer, but he was the health agent. So in any case, I did take some photos, and I did note that it looked like there was some emerging wetland vegetation on your property. Like you said, it has a lot of water, maybe you would try to pump out. So that could be a jurisdictional area as far as conservation is concerned. And I don't know if it was created from the pumping out of the system or whatever, but we just conservation just wants you to be aware that you may have to work with us for this project as well. And of course, we don't want you to continue pumping.
No, it's all fixed.
No, they fixed it.
Everything's fixed.
Okay. And then the Title V inspection and the design with the engineer, that's all taking us into the right direction.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the board, I can say, speaking for myself, I think we're happy. And
Yeah.
we appreciate you coming in and being so
Definitely do.
patient and, you know, honest. So it's huge.
I mean, it's unfortunate that all that happened, but
Yeah.
you're doing all the right things, and
It was something that we were in the process of doing. I mean,
Right.
it wasn't like we're like, oh, we're just gonna leave our septic like this. I mean,
Right.
we have 6 grandchildren that
Sure.
run around
Sure.
our yard every day.
Yep.
So.
I understand.
Absolutely.
I understand.
Speaking, you know,
So,
preaching the
okay, so.
All right, thank you, Lisa.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So, we will,
I'll have somebody this week on a Title V.
excellent. That would be great.
And if just any plans that come in, they just get copied to conservation.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
I think it's the same as what we had said before. If it's something that we need to call an emergency meeting for in order to approve anything, I don't think we will,
We're
Liz, right?
accommodating
It
as
just,
far as time.
Liz, it would
And
just
I
go
know
to
it's
you.
hard because you probably both work, so, you know, we can work around times and stuff.
Yeah.
Just,
You-
Liz is the contact person.
Yeah.
Just call the office and we'd be more than happy to work with you on times and days if we have to come in for a special meeting.
So
And that-
after we
so, yeah.
contact the Title V and they send it to you, then you send an inspector out to look at everything after that too.
Correct.
So.
That will all be scheduled. No one's just gonna show up. So that will be scheduled with you, you know, accordingly.
Come in to like close everything off and try to make it back to being closed.
I can send the inspector out to do an inspection now on the pump and float that was replaced. And then the title, you can close it up for the Title V. I don't think they need it open for Title V.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we won't need a meeting for that, Liz, right? That would just get approved and we're done.
Just-
Okay.
Phones out too, 'cause of it.
Yeah, just work with Liz on any, you know, appointments or anything. She would be your main contact person.
Yep.
And we can go from there. And then once we get all of that stuff done, then we can move forward and close it, you know, and hopefully that will be it. So we appreciate you coming in. Thank you
Thank
very,
you.
very much. Thank you. And you have a good day. Thanks.
Sorry, I'm gonna talk again.
Yes.
Sure, give us 1
Yeah,
second. We
yeah.
just gotta work on this because we have to. There's a whole procedure on how it's done. We apologize. Just give
Yeah,
us 2
well-
seconds and then we can get back to you,
We'll
okay?
get to him on the public input
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
So we only
So
have a few other items.
You
in-
want to make a motion on Milk Street, so we'll table that until we get the Title V. Jerry will go back out and do the inspection, and I think that should
That should button that.
tidy everything up.
Yeah, so I'd make a motion to table 1901 Milk Street septic discussion until Title V is approved and inspected. Okay,
I stepped down, I second that motion. Can I get a vote?
aye.
Aye, motion passes. All right, moving on to, we did B, moving on to C, dumpster regulations. Liz, do you want to give us a?
Jeff Cavallo, are you still on, Jeff?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so I did get a few emails from, also Mr. Aguirre had, oh, it was from Jeff, yeah.
Yep, I saw the emails too, the
So,
chain.
Jeff, you're up.
All right. So during the annual town meeting, when the discussion of the waste enterprise and all of that was happening, one of the residents came up to me and asked if we had any sort of town regulations on dumpster locations on properties. Because, you know, if something happens and all of a sudden a lot of people in town are deciding that they would rather just have their own dumpster than pay a large amount per bag, because that's really what's being proposed, then we're suddenly going to have a town full of dumpsters, people's personal dumpsters, and that's fine, free country and all, but it would be good if we could understand, and I don't know if the Board of Health has anything like this, even in your in the works, where there could be some restrictions on where the dumpsters can be on their property. We're trying to prevent, you know, not having something unsightly on somebody's front lawn, and also not being on the road where, you know, you got to be able to do snow clearing and all, anything else cars have to go by, that kind of thing. So part of it is safety, part of it is, you know, just reducing people's property value, because all of a sudden there's dumpsters everywhere. Now I know other towns around us do this sort of thing, and maybe they do have some restrictions. And when I asked Jim Aguirre specifically about this, he said that this fell under the Board of Health, and that's why I'm here today. So that email I sent to Elizabeth was just asking that question, and I wanted to come today just to chat to see if there's something that you guys are planning or could plan, hopefully in the near future, to put in place.
Yeah.
Jeff, can I just ask that you state who you are, just because it's a public
sorry.
meeting? Anyone
okay.
watching, they want to know who Jeff is, so.
Okay, hi, I'm Jeff.
And your position?
My position. So Jeff Cavallo, 2124 Tommy's Way in Dayton. I'm also the chair. I'm also the chair of the planning board.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. So I'm here. I'm here. I'm here as a resident, as well as here as a member of the planning board. So kind of dual hatted. But I know in my neighborhood we don't have anybody on Tommy's Way, and I don't think anybody on Sunny's. I'm right off of Cedar next to Lynn's Propane. I don't think anybody in our developments, kind of a joint development. I don't think anybody here has their own personal dumpster anymore. We had one resident that did at one point, but they got rid of it. And you know, it was pretty much just like on the curb, and it was tons of grass around it. It was gross. So I'm glad it's not there anymore. So my concern is, if all of a sudden like 6 of my neighbors decide to get a dumpster, I mean, is that something that we need to control as part of the HOA, or does the Board of Health put something in place and says, hey, if you're going to get a dumpster, these are the regulations of where you can put it? You know, you get a trailer, you get a boat. Boats aren't filled with trash, and you still make, a lot of HOAs make it so you have a boat or a trailer, it can't be beyond the front of your house. But you got something here that's full of garbage, that's going to smell bad, draw whatever, raccoons and whatnot. Would be good to have some sort of some kind of regulation to where those can go on people's properties.
So I did look at the regulations that you had sent, Jeff, the copies of them, or Liz, I don't know.
That was me.
Liz got those, thank you, Liz.
Yeah.
Those were all like copies from different towns, that town of Dayton, of City of Taunton, I think Rehoboth was in there, Rochester was in there. And so they just state those simple things, like you have to be 1 foot off the road, and then every hauler has to have a trash hauler's permit. I would say, I think we should table this and look into it further.
Yes, I agree. I don't want to make a quick decision. I need time to really review all the information.
Right, I know. I definitely don't want you to decide on your feet. What I really want to do is I just wanted to put a bug in your ear and hopefully put it on your discussion agenda so you can continue this.
But I have to say, I'm the person who, with the increase of the price of bags, I don't want to seem like we're penalizing people if they decide to get a dumpster. So I think that we need to be fair. If a person wants to get a dumpster, I do agree that maybe we should have some type of regulation, but I don't want to be a board that's going to penalize people because they decided to go a different route. I think that everybody's entitled to do what fits their budgets, fits their needs. So I think in this case, I would like to table it and really kind of dive into all this information and ask for the people of this town, because that's exactly why I took this position.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd make a motion to table. Oh, go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
No, so before you make the motion on the table, but and I hear you, but I live here as well, and I will likely also be one of those people that gets a dumpster. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to put it in the furthest corner of my property so my neighbor has to smell it.
Right.
No, we understand that, and that's not what I'm saying. You do understand what I'm saying. Like,
I get it. I get it. We're all elected officials, and we want to know what's.
Everybody's entitled to do what fits their budgets.
I understand, but it can't be at the detriment of people around them, property costs, and also the snow clearing crew has to come by and go around a dumpster and all the things that go along with having it. So I think there's a balance that needs to be struck, and it sounds like you're going to go along and you're looking at. I didn't see that email from Elizabeth, but it sounds like you guys are already looking into what towns around you are doing. So that's great. Great. Happy to hear it. And if you need any help from any of us at the planning board, we're always willing to lend a hand and going through documentation. We can volunteer people.
That's awesome. Thank you. Very, very.
Okay. So anyway, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
No problem.
I would make a motion to table item 7C, dumpster regulations, until we can do some research on this.
Yes. I step down, second that motion, and can I get a vote?
Aye.
I vote aye, and motion passes. Moving on to public health nurse candidates. I think we should table this for right now.
Agreed.
It was a lot this meeting, and I think we really need to, go back in our notes and think about this and at a later time discuss it.
Yeah,
we've waited this long. I think, another meeting.
Yeah, let's look into these candidates a little more deeply before we.
Yes, exactly. Okay, can I get a motion on that?
Yeah, I would make a motion to table item 7D until we can look into the candidates a little bit further.
Excellent. I step down. I second that motion. Can I get a vote? Motion passes. Items not reasonably anticipated within 48 hours. Does anybody have anything? I do not.
Nope.
Okay. We're going to move on to public input. Sir, if you would like to step back up.
Just want to clarify or say something back. The report from the engineer here talking about the 4 bedrooms, and the report that came from the agent talking about that they agreed about 2 bedrooms. So there's a little bit of confusion. So now it says here, it's going to be determined that there is adequate flow available to accommodate the additional 440 gallon per day requested. If we, like he says here, if we got the Title V, and the engineer said that in his opinion that it can carry additional data flow. He's talking about.
So if it can accommodate that system, and then at that point, the Board of Health will take a look at it, and then that's when we can give a final answer. But we need those 2 steps taken. The Title V, which you've done, but we're missing part of the report, which we'll follow up on our end. So the second piece would be to hire an engineer.
Okay, so that's all talking about the 4 bedrooms.
Well, an engineer, right? Will it accommodate the system? So it would have to be an engineer who would have to come up with a plan for that.
Okay, but understand me, like, why I came back again?
Yeah, no.
Yes.
I'm glad you came back. It's confusing.
It's a great report talking about 2 bedrooms, and here talking about 4
and then
bedrooms.
Because your original request was a 4-bedroom addition. You were adding 2 apartments with bedrooms.
2 bedrooms.
Yes.
4 bedrooms. So the engineer looked at what you originally wanted and what Matt approved you for. Matt said, no, you can't have 2. You can have 2 bedrooms, not 4.
Okay.
So That was the other opinion from the other engineer.
Okay, so we'll continue with the original plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, if you need us to do an emergency meeting when you get it all done and because you want to go forward quickly, just let Liz know, we'll set it up.
And if any other questions come up, Liz would be the contact person.
Yeah.
Yeah, if your engineer can come up with a good plan for the 4 bedrooms, that's what Jerry is saying in his letter.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Sure, you're up. We were gonna ask you to come
to the
up
podium,
next.
Mr. Wood.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's for me.
Yeah.
I just want to point out when I said I wanted to volunteer people from the planning board, I was talking about Woody.
Hey, Jeff, we all don't live in a swanky neighborhood like you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. You talking two bedrooms or 2 1-bedrooms?
So that's the report that came from Matt, it's 2.
But what do you want?
4 bedrooms.
Okay, so you want 4 bedrooms, okay. I just want to clarify that, because when you're done with these people, you have to go to the planning board.
Yes,
Okay.
we're working with them now.
Right, I'm on the planning board.
Okay.
Good luck, sir.
No, I just wanted to be clear, you know, because I listened to you several times now, and you went from 4 bedrooms to 2 bedrooms, now you're back to 4 bedrooms.
Yes, the reason is when they approved about 2 bedrooms.
Because if you were gonna just have 1 bedrooms, right, this is a small town of Dayton, everybody's gonna be watching, make sure there's only 1 family. Right, so they may make you have a deed restriction that says there's only 1 bedroom. So I'm just kind of looking up to you. I think you're better off going to 2 bedrooms, you'll get more money, you'll be better off.
You mean 2 apartments?
Yeah, 2 apartments, 2 bedrooms each.
That's what I want, that's what the.
Yeah, so get your engineer and get it right.
All right.
But we'll see what happens with all these reports.
All right, you know, because you're getting jerked around. Let's get it done right.
Okay.
Okay, your 5 minutes is up on that topic. So 5 minutes
All
and
right,
something
thank you.
else.
Yeah, they control me, right? They don't control nobody else, they control me.
Oh, no, trust me, it's everybody, not just you, Mr. Wood.
So see, I'm up here for public input, the next 5 minutes. Jeff, you still on?
No, he left.
No, I'm sorry.
He's heading for the hills, Wood.
Okay, so back to the last meeting.
Yeah, I'm going for time if I lose you.
You know, and I mentioned something.
Thank you.
Hey, sir, thank you very much. You know, Ralph was trying to get you to do a letter, and I spoke up, and I didn't want you to do a letter because, you know, that little email that you sent out, Benny? Oh, that gets spread all over the place. I got copies of it. Everybody else got copies of it too. So be careful what you put in print. I was trying to tell you that, but you were trying to shut me down. So you got to be careful what you put in print. That's about it. I was trying to say to you because you know that email went all over the place. All right? And if you ask me, it was a violation of the open meeting law in that meeting, in that letter. But that's just my opinion. I'm not the Attorney General.
Thank goodness. Thank
So
you.
be careful what you put in print.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wood.
Anybody else have any public input? Oh, thank goodness. All right, we're gonna approve meeting minutes. If I can get a motion to approve the minutes of May the 19th, 2025, for the regular meeting of the Board of Health.
I would make a motion to approve meetings for May 19th, 2025, Board of Health, regular.
I step down, I second that motion. Can I get a vote?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Our next scheduled meeting is July the 15th at 1 o'clock. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
I step down, I second that motion. Can I get a vote?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Meeting adjourned. See everyone the next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.